billion people. That's in my book. But as an example for this DVD, I did it for 10 billion people. The survival sum for 10 billion people is 3,000 billion a week. The world estimated population figure is 6.5 billion. So I've gone in the safe zone figure of mathematics. But it's just, again, for products alone. The cost, the manufacturing costs, and the distribution and the transportation costs is far astronomically more. I've touched on the scope of that in my book as well. This is just to show, but it shows that anything is possible. In the world of mathematics, it is perfect. We have perfect mathematics and perfect sums. 5 million people, yeah, that's what they need. There's the mathematics for it. In reality, it's a different story. In reality, it's a totally different project. It's an ongoing project. This, again, going back to the start, using Ireland, as an example, for 5 million people, the survival sum is 1.5 billion a week. That's for 1 weekly food hampers, 1 weekly living costs, and 1 weekly survival equipment. The sum, how I came to that, is 300 times 5 million. 300 times 5 million equals 1.5 billion. That is the survival sum. So the survival sum for 5 million people in Ireland alone is 1.5 billion. So you'd need a space bank that has reserves, backup survival reserves, for 1.5 billion. Yeah? Now to double that, do a survival plan for the survival plan, it would be 3,000 billion. You could even use that 3,000 billion as, say, we're going to do 1.5 billion as survival, emergency equipment, emergency food hamper weekly, and emergency living costs weekly, yeah? That's 1.5 billion. Now, if we covered rent as well, emergency rent and accommodation, yeah, survival plan, we used the sum of 300 times 5 million, then we're going to come up with a total figure of $3,000 billion. So the survival, 3,000 million. So it'd be 3 billion. So the survival sum for Ireland, for a population of 5 million people, 1 weekly food hamper, 1 weekly living costs, 1 weekly survival equipment, and rent covered at €300 a week, the survival sum for Ireland would be 3 billion. That's just product alone. That's excluding manufacturing costs and transportation costs. That's just the starting blocks. It's just putting into context. It's a huge, big project. It's a huge, big scale. But it's also putting into context that anything is possible. Nothing is impossible. You press 0 on a calculator, you're starting from 0. I've gone up to 30 billion. You know, I used scientific calculators, obviously. But it shows that anything is possible. You can just do multiplication, 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 and there is other sums and formulas that you can do on a small scale, and then double, and small scale sums, and then you add certain other things. It's to do with multiplications in mathematics. As a mathematician, I can work with small sums, and then I can calculate, and then I can use those as a guide to formulate bigger sums. And that's how I did this project. Check this. There's 3 minutes remaining. Anything is possible. Never give up. Never give up. Stay positive. Anything is possible. This is part of a survival plan in the world of mathematics. Yeah? If one person went out and bought a food hamper, yeah, 1 weekly survival living costs and 1 weekly survival equipment costing you €300, you are one person. That's excluding the manufacturing costs and the travel costs. You are one person that has designed a weekly survival plan. Now, if you times that by a population figure of like 5 million, the cost of that would be 1.5 billion. The emergency basics would be 1.5 million. 1.5 billion, excuse me. So again, the survival sum for Ireland for 1 weekly food hamper, 1 weekly survival cost, 1 weekly living equipment, and living cost would be €300 times 5 million people equals 1.5 billion. That's the survival cost. Now, including rent and many other things, would be 3,000 billion. No, it'd be 3 billion. Excuse me, I'm rushing. Right, I'll say that again. I'm rushing here. Ireland population figure 5 million people. 1 weekly food hamper, €100. 1 weekly living cost, €100. 1 weekly survival equipment, €100. The survival sum is, if you have a pen and paper, is 1.5 billion. Yeah? 1.5 billion. The survival sum, if you included rent at €300 a week, would be 3 billion. Yeah? That's 3 billion survival plan a week. That's excluding manufacturing costs and transportation costs. This is just a survival plan. So a small country, any city in the world or any country in the world that has 5 million people, the survival plan is 3 billion a week. That's just the basics. That's excluding many other costs. That's just to give you the grasp of just that part. 1 minute remaining on this. So that's the survival plan for a population of Ireland of 5 million people would be 3 billion a week. 1 weekly food hamper, 1 weekly living cost, 1 weekly survival equipment, and €300 weekly for rent. Yeah? That would be 3 billion a week. The survival plan for Ireland is 3 billion a week. Time's running out. Thank you very much. Herbert Hexon, ZXI. Never give up, stay positive. Thank you very much. Herbert Hexon, mathematician. Thank you very much. Thank you. Project IQ. Thank you very much. Ireland survival plan is 3 billion a week. Basic survival funds. That's a week. Every week for infinity. For eternity. Thank you very much. Herbert Hexon, mathematician. Project IQ. Thank you very much. Thank you. For the ZXI Corporation. This is to do with population departments. This is the Project IQ department. Thank you very much. Herbert Hexon, mathematician. Survival plan.